Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our World of Fiery webinar, Techniques and Solutions to Maintain Great Color. My name is Joanna Portela, and I'll be your host. This is the second webinar of a series of two. But before we start, I would like to go through some housekeeping rules. So you are all on mute. So if you have any questions or comments during this session, you can do them through the chat or through the Q&A. If you do send any comments or questions through the chat, I would like to ask you to send them to all panelists so we can all read and answer your questions. This session is also being recorded. You will receive the recording and all of the materials we mentioned here today through email in a few days. And the last thing I would like to tell you is if you have any audio issues during this session, you may try changing your audio options on WebEx, and you can also dial in via telephone. The dial-in numbers you can find them on the email that you received, the confirmation email you received from us, and I've also posted those numbers here on the chat for you. And that's it for me. So let's start. Carrie, take it away.
Thank you, Joanna. So welcome, everyone. This is part 2 of our colour webinar series that focuses on best practices for reaching and maintaining your colour goals. Part 1 of this two-part series focused on achieving your colour goals. Today's session, part 2, is all about maintaining that great colour for the long run. So today we're going to hear from John Nate, Senior Educational Architect and Trainer, on the subject of techniques and solutions to maintain a great colour. So on this session, we're first going to take a quick recap of some of the key things we covered in part 1. Then we're going to talk about the value of verification within process control, then about how to streamline verification tasks and how to track colour quality in real time, plus also using technology to automate colour processes and some steps to save you time. Plus, we're going to talk about troubleshooting and some preventative measures to achieve great colour and correct results. So before we start, so that we can get the pitch of this session just right, we'd like to know who attended this session live, who watched the session from last month. So we're going to take a quick on-screen poll. So the on-screen poll you will see to the right-hand side of your screen, and we're going to take a few of these polls during the session. And just one little reminder, don't forget to click submit when you've answered the question. For this particular poll, we'd like to know, did you attend last month's session live? Did you watch the recording? Or did you not get to watching the recording just yet? So if you choose your answer on the right-hand side, and click submit, we will take a look at those results in a minute or so. So I'm now going to hand you over to John for the details on the techniques and solutions to maintain great colour. Over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Carrie, and thank you, Joanna, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It was very interesting to see at last month's webinar that we had people sign in live from pretty much all over the world. So there is a lot of interest in color out there in the world, and hopefully today we can help answer a few more of your questions and maybe help you get your color tuned in just a little bit more. After the webinar today, what we're hoping you're going to be able to do is implement your own standard operating procedures for your particular facility to help, again, control your color accuracy. You should be able to select a color specification, which is very important in today's session, is deciding what you actually want the output to look like or what it should look like. Understand the importance of color verification. Where exactly does verification fit into the workflow? And the value of tracking the results, and then how to really evaluate trends. Once you have the information, really what do you do with it? Understand the importance and how to take preventative measures to ensure that the output from your machines is the best quality that you can possibly produce. And of course, the world isn't perfect and things do go wrong. So what do you do when things do go wrong? And also learn a little bit about what you can do to automate some of the important tasks in the area of color accuracy. Before we proceed, Joanna, do we have the poll results from our first question?
Yes, John. So 41% of the people attended live, 16% watched the recording, and 39% haven't had the chance yet.
Okay, great. So welcome back, almost half of you. The recording, again, will be available, and we're going to have links at the end, and you'll get information on a link to this recording and the previous recording. So if you did miss the previous one, don't worry. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the chat window. We'll hopefully have time at the end to answer a number of questions, and we do send out a written document afterwards with all of the questions and answers in written form for everyone. I want to start today with just a quick review of what I covered last month, just so we're on kind of a firm ground, firm starting point of continuing with the issue of color accuracy. And that's talking about the building blocks. We have the color standards for our shop. Again, what is it supposed to look like? We have our print engine. We've selected our toner or ink. We have our media selected. And then we go in to do calibration. And on top of calibration is profiling, and profiling goes hand in hand with calibration. One does not take the place of the other. And we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about verification, how you prove that everything you've done below on those building blocks is valid and is under control. And if you do that, well, you wind up ultimately passing verification, and that is the goal, which really ensures and gives you peace of mind that you know what you're producing is the quality you and your customers expect you to be producing. Just a review of some quick terms that I want you to understand to make sure that you get the best benefit of the rest of the session today is calibration. Calibration, a lot of people, we hear them say, well, I need to calibrate my machine to look like something. And that's not true. That's not what calibration does. When you calibrate a machine, you are ensuring that you have the maximum printer gamut. Now, that means you have the most color that's available, the darkest shadow areas, the most saturated colors. And it ensures printer consistency, so that what you print today matches what you printed yesterday, what you printed last month, what you will print next month. It's also used to control the responsiveness of the printer. You want to make sure that when you print 50%, you get 50%. And it allows you to hold highlight and shadow detail. In an uncalibrated printer, if your highlights are washed out, there's really no detail, maybe up to a 20% point, or your shadows are blocked up after 80%. If that's your calibrated state, it's very, very difficult to control color and to get accurate color. So by making sure that you control the responsiveness, you can make sure that you get the color that you want. Profiling is next. This determines how your printer reproduces color. It's almost like a dictionary of color. It says if you want this color, this is the recipe of toner or ink you should be sending to the print heads in order to get the color that you want. Okay, profiles are used to make your printer look like something else. Calibration is not. And of course, verification. And this is what we're going to cover heavily today. It determines, is the color accurate? Okay, I've calibrated, I profiled. Am I getting the color I want? Am I getting the color my customer wants? Okay. It helps you understand also when to take corrective action, which is a great, great benefit of verification. Now, we do have the Color 101 Fundamentals of Color Management e-learning course at learning.efi.com, and you can go there and learn more about each of these terms in more depth, as well as other terms that are important in the world of color accuracy. Also want to make sure you understand delta E. Delta E is a term we use in color management, and it refers to the amount of color accuracy. As you can see here on the chart, I've got my original color in the middle, and then colors that are delta E3 are a little farther away. They're not as close. Delta E7, they're even farther away. So the bigger the number, the larger the color difference in delta E. And you'll see later when we talk about what is the color supposed to look like, we determine the color accuracy based on these delta E numbers. Do the numbers that we measure come in lower than our target numbers? If they do, then we know we're in good shape, and that all comes into play in verification. The tools I'm going to cover today are working with Fiery Command Workstation and Color Profiler Suite, also Fiery Spot Pro, Fiery Post-Flight, Fiery ImageViewer, Fiery Image Enhanced Visual Editor, and kind of the new kid on the block, EFI ColorGuard. Very, very exciting product that we have to offer you. One of your first tasks should be implementing your own standard operating procedures. Covered these last time, and we're just kind of wondering, the next poll question, do you use standard operating procedures? Yes, you always use them. Did you implement them after the first webinar? You don't, but you plan to, or you really don't and don't have any plans to at the moment. So if you could answer that question and then click submit, we will get those responses in just a moment. Okay, moving on. If you didn't attend last month's session, we do have a document that I put together, checklist and standard operating procedure list PDF file. Now you can download this. We're going to have it available after this session also. You can download it, and it covers a lot of different standard operating procedures and gives you some ideas on what you can use to develop your own set of procedures for your own shop, because no two shops are the same, no two workflows are the same, and it's a set of guidelines to really help you get going. Some examples that we have, machine maintenance, selecting a reference, creating calibrations and media profiles, setting up recalibration schedules, implementing color verification, and quality control checks, and maybe an idea on what you want to automate and how you automate. Now, you don't have to create all of these at once. You can start simple and build as you go. In talking about verification, oops, I'm sorry, we have the poll responses. Joanna?
Yeah, give me 4 seconds. Now I'm closing the poll. Right, so we have the results. So 44% of our audience say that yes, they all use the SOPs, and the 8% said that they implemented after they watched our last session last month. 34% said that they don't have them yet, but they plan to, and 11% said they don't have them.
Well, great. It's good to hear that some of you took advantage of the homework assignment after last month's session of starting to develop your own standard operating procedures. You will understand as you put them together that they have great value because it lets everybody in your facility know exactly step by step what should be done, what tasks should be performed, and when they should be performed, rather than, hey, did anybody recalibrate this week? Oh, yeah, I think Mary recalibrated. Did you recalibrate, Mary? Yeah, sometime earlier this week. Well, if you have all this stuff documented, standard procedures, you won't have to ask questions like that. All right, in talking about verification, the first thing you have to do is you have to be able to select a reference, okay? And the reference basically answers the question of, what is it supposed to look like, okay? What's it supposed to look like? What are we trying to hit? Visually, when we measure a color bar for verification, what are we supposed to hit? Often you might select an industry specification, something like FOGRA 51 or FOGRA 52, or maybe some of the older FOGRA specifications. These are used predominantly throughout Europe. We have ISO coded and ISO uncoded, which are used worldwide. SWAP and GRACL that are used in the Americas, the Pacific Rim. You might ask, well, how do I know which one of these to use? You could set up workflows and select some of these specifications, print samples, see what they look like, determine which works for you. Ask your customers, what do they request? What are they looking for? And eventually you will come to determine what things should look like. Now, you also may select a shop specification. Well, why? Well, perhaps you print on a media and your customers say, well, we want FOGRA 51 or GRACL. That's what we look for. But you have a media, and this is quite common, that doesn't have a white point, the color of the media itself, that would conform to that specification. Well, in that case, you could come up with your own shop specification. The other colors look good, but the white point is a little darker or maybe a little yellower. Okay, so shop specifications come into play when you maybe can't or just don't need to conform to one of the industry specifications. Your customers, you, management are happy with the color results, then a shop specification can work quite well. Again, in the Color 101 Fundamentals of Color Management course, we cover what these actually are in detail. Okay, when you say FOGR 51, what exactly does that mean? Check out Color 101. Once you know what it's supposed to look like, you can create custom calibrations and custom media profiles. Now, Fiery systems come with canned calibration and profiles, but those are built by our scientists using our equipment, our media, our toner, okay? But you determine which paper types you want to use to create custom calibration files and custom ICC media profiles, okay? This takes into account your equipment, okay? It might be wise for you to create it for your primary media, your go-to media. This is what we normally print on our machine, or maybe the highest quality media. This is the media we use to show that we are a high quality shop or a high quality department. You know, when we print on this media, everybody really likes the way it looks. Well, maybe a custom calibration profile will help it look even better. The media for your most important client, okay, the client that gives you the majority of the work, or your highest paying jobs, maybe the media for your most demanding client, the client that's pickiest, that's more likely to turn a job back for color issues, perhaps your most profitable media, okay? And again, we have a new e-learning course, Cut Sheet Color Calibration, that we just came out with since the last session that covers all of this, okay? So creating new calibration files, you can use Fiery Command Workstation. You can also use Color Profiler Suite. There is no license that's required. However, you will need a measurement device, something like the ES3000 newer device or the ES2000 handheld device. Color Profiler Suite supports additional devices that you need to really be able to measure color. Now, if you have an inline device, life is going to be very, very simple for you because these are very easy devices. An inline device is a device built into the printer. And when you're calibrating, you'll see when you're profiling, verifying, you can actually use this inline device. It takes out additional variables. You can have multiple people use a handheld device, and they might get slightly different readings depending upon how do they rock it a little bit? Maybe they measure in different areas and they forget to put a backing behind the material they're measuring, so they get a little show through of the desk they're measuring on. The inline material takes all of that out of the equation, and newer printers are starting to have these devices as standard equipment, so kind of exciting. Okay, then custom media profiles. Again, custom media profiles take into consideration your printer, your media, your colorant, whether it's ink or toner, okay? It also allows you to create custom black generation settings. These can help improve the stability of the color, especially neutrals, and can help save ink or toner. You will need Fiery Color Profiler Suite installed, whether it's installed for a Fiery XF system for wide and super wide, or you launch it as a standalone device for creating calibration files for your cut sheet device. You can also start the process of creating profiles right from within Command Workstation for a cut sheet device, but you still need Fiery Color Profiler Suite installed on that same system. And of course, you do need the measurement device. And once again, very simple with an inline device. Color 350, the basic Fiery cut sheet color profiling course, a completely revamped course on profiling, should be available within the next 30 days. That's the next one we are updating. Next, you want to implement a recalibration schedule. Just because you calibrated, just because you built a custom profile, doesn't mean you're done, okay? You have to recalibrate regularly, okay? It is as important as calibration. Recalibration corrects for device drift, our printer's drift, okay? Inkjet printers tend to be a little more stable over time, less susceptible to temperature and humidity, which cut sheet devices are more sensitive to. So throughout the season, maybe throughout the day, as your department warms up or cools down, Maybe the air conditioning unit comes into play and the humidity level changes. This could cause your printer to drift. You're going to have to decide which media. Calibrations are media dependent. So you don't necessarily think of it as you're recalibrating a printer, you're recalibrating a printer colorant combination for that printer. How often? Well, you can set up a schedule and say you should do it at particular intervals, but verification and trending analysis can help you, and you'll see that when we take a look at ColorGuard a little later this morning or today. Color 301 Optimizing Color and Consistency is available now, covers the importance of doing all these processes, and the new Color 341, which again will be available within the next 30 days to cover, calibration is available now, profiling will be available later. Spot colors are really a separate topic, a separate area that you have to contend with. One of the main issues with spot color accuracy is the document itself. Is it created correctly? Take a look at the separation list for this document. For one, it shows the document is just a CMYK document. There are no what we call named spot colors. In the second version, the spot colors are called out by name. That gives your Fiery system the chance to take the information on these named spot colors and do a specific conversion, selecting the correct amount of toner or ink on your output device to try to match that color as closely as possible. If all you do is send CMYK data, you've really taken the Fiery intelligence out of the equation. It doesn't look at the spot color library. It's kind of like taking all these blocks and saying, hey, build me a car. That's what I want you to do. I want you to build you a car, or build me a car. Well, okay, these are all cars. Are any of them correct? You know, with a set of without a set of instructions, and that's what happens if you don't name the spot colors. You really aren't sending your Fiery the directions. Document 101, a fairly new course, Fundamentals of Document Creation for Digital Printing, is available at learning.efi.com. And by the way, all of these courses I'm mentioning are available at no cost. They are free for you, for your staff. Send your customers, send anybody creating documents, have them look at this. More are going to be coming next year that will help with additional information for specific applications. But it's important that the document is created correctly in the first place. Now, you can also demonstrate the spot color accuracy. If you have Spot Pro or Fiery Spot on, you can create a custom swatch book. Again, you remember earlier I said maybe you have a media that doesn't conform to one of the specifications. Maybe the white point is a little dark or a little yellow. Well, imagine what happens if you print pastel, very light spot colors on that media. They might not look like that really nice coated book that the customer has. Well, you can create a swatch book of their selected spot colors on their selected media, and you print that and give it to them, and they can see what those colors will look like. It sets the expectations, which is very, very important in the world of color. Now, you can also modify color reproduction. You can change the appearance of individual spot colors. They say, well, okay, if I actually just change the recipe a little bit and make it look like this, I know if I measured it, it doesn't measure accurately, but my customer likes the way it looks. This starts to bring taste into the world of color, because we have measured color accuracy, and then we have, well, taste. Maybe in a particular situation, they want a spot color maybe a little darker or a little yellower. You customize all of that with the spot color programs. Okay, next we have to look at implementing quality control checks. And for that, next poll question, do your pre-flight jobs? Do you manually pre-flight a job? Maybe open it in Acrobat, take a look at it. Do you use the Fiery tools or some other tool, or you don't pre-flight at all? So I'll give you just a moment to answer that question. And again, don't forget to hit submit. All right. I'm just going to take just a couple seconds to look at the pre-flight application that we have. Preflight application allows you to check for a number of issues and either give you warnings or even fail the job and say it can't be processed. And one of these I want to call your attention to is it can tell you whether there are spot colors actually in the job. You expect spot colors, it can give you a warning that there are not spot colors. Okay, so that can be very, very, very useful. We also have a product. Do we have the poll results, Joanne?
Can you give me 15 seconds?
I can give you 15 seconds. So take a look. The Fiery Pre-Flight, the next I'm going to show you is Fiery Post-Flight. These are available in many of the graphic arts packages. If you don't have access to them, give your EFI contact a call and find out how you can gain access to them. Did I talk long enough, Joanna?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. So we have, well, our results now are very divided. So 28% are telling us that they do Preflight manually. And 28% say they do with Fiery tools, 22% with other tools, and 24% don't Preflight.
Boy, that is pretty evenly divided, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, take a look at Preflight, and next up, take a look at Post-Flight. Post-Flight is named Post-Flight. It's done after the job is processed, and you can print a copy. You might consider it actually even as a pre-flight tool too, if you've got a very large or a very important job. It has a post-flight test page. It's this kind of upper page here that you can see on the right. It has a set of sample images. Now, those would be the same images printed each time. So you kind of get used to how it should look like on your media, on your machine. There's a nice neutral gradient there. You can see if there's any issues. The bottom right is a document where it actually lists the profiles that are used, whether you have RGB profiles, CMYK profiles, the names of spot colors. And then on the left, a color-coded version of the document that actually shows which elements are RGB, which are CMYK, which are spot colors. And it can help you determine what's going on. If you take a look at the upper right-hand image here, there's that cyan drop shadow, and that tells you that's a CMYK object. Maybe that was supposed to be a spot color, for all you know, okay? But it helps you determine, are there issues with the job? Okay, well, now there are issues with the job. What can we do? Well, you can send it back to prepress. You can send it back to the customer. Depending upon what the issue is with the job, you could repair the job. Fiery ImageViewer, and we have a Fiery ImageViewer e-learning course, Fiery 610, available. You can make modifications to the page. You can replace colors. You can fix spot color issues. You could replace one selected color with a different selected color. We also have available Fiery Image Enhanced Visual Editor, where you can perform repairs on individual selected images. As you can see, we've got sliders for brightness, contrast, modify the shadows and highlight detail, color balance, sharpness, etc. There's an express video that covers this. So you can go in and take a look at these, even if you don't have access, before you buy in and get an idea of exactly what they can do for you. All right. We've calibrated, we profiled, we picked our media, we've got everything set that we talked about in last session. We've got our lighting area. Now what? How do we know if everything we did is functioning properly? Enter color verification. So I know you wanted one. Another poll question. Do you verify your print results? Yes, you do manually. Yes, automatically using an inline device, or you do not verify at the moment. Give you a moment to answer that question. And again, don't forget to submit or hit the submit button. All right, so why should you verify? Well, many of you have cars that you drive, and you have this thing called a speedometer, and you watch that so you know how fast you are driving. What if it's broken? If you don't have a working speedometer and you see this, you might also see this. And that's not going to be a good day if you're on your way to work, on your way home to work, on your way to the store, and you see that in your rearview mirror. Not a good sign. Well, what about the printing world? In our world, without verification, is that document printed correctly? With verification, you can get a report, and it says you passed. You said, this is what I want it to look like. This is how I want it to print. And you print a color bar, measure it, and it gets a pass. You can even print out a report that you keep with the job ticket as evidence that, yes, we printed this job accurately. You can even print out a little label on one of these little desktop label makers, peel it off, stick it on the back of the job or a copy of the job or in the job ticket. Again, prove to your customer that you printed it correctly. Okay. What we're talking about here is Fiery Verify, which is part of Fiery Color Profiler Suite. It does require a license to Color Profiler Suite in order to use. It detects for device drift, and it allows you to prove the color accuracy. These are the two key features of verification. Okay? But it also helps you learn more about your printer. Okay? Do you fail verification after a long weekend? How about maybe in the mornings? You know, you verify in the morning and go, yeah, we failed verification. You fail verification using a specific media. Maybe you're using a specific media with a canned or a default calibration set, and you find, boy, you're regularly failing. That might be an indication, you know, we should create a custom calibration and a custom ICC media profile for this media, because it's always right on the edge of failing verification. Color 345, improving color accuracy with Fiery Verify, covers all of this, the nuts and bolts of exactly how this all works. I want to remind you of one thing. Before I remind you of one thing, let's take a look at the poll results. Joanna?
Yes, so 51% of our attendees verify manually, 13% verify automatically, and 30% don't verify.
Wow, so 64% do verification now. That's good. That means you're really taking control of your color accuracy. Keep in mind, rule number one of verification ensures the document was printed correctly. Doesn't say anything about whether it was created correctly. Okay, so we have this document. It passes verification, but it's unacceptable. It's not a good document. Look at that middle image there on the left. It's dark and muddy. The bottom one. Look at the skin tones and the highlights. They're all purple. That little blocked out spice grinder on the right is dark. Upper right, the whites are cyan. The drop shot, it looks horrible. What's going on? Again, the document probably wasn't created correctly. But verification gives you that comfort level. You print this and look, oh my goodness, this document is awful. Quick, run verification. Oh, good. The machine is running well. Now you know it's that pass fail. It's the document. Or verification fails, you can say, uh-oh, something's going wrong. Before we print any more jobs and they don't look good, we've got to figure out what's going on. Okay. Fiery Verify is available in Color Profiler Suite, launched from the Verify button. If you are running Fiery Pro Server or Fiery XF, there's the Verifier button. Again, both available if you have a license for Color Profiler Suite. For Fiery Pro Server and Fiery XF, it does have to be installed on that computer in order to be able to launch it. With Fiery Verify, you can get a simple or a detailed report. Now, take a look at the chart on the left. You'll see there are delta E values in this column, and it says what the delta E value for each of these is. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a tolerance level. This is what the tolerance level should be for a validation print using the ISO specification, okay? And here's the tolerances, and we know we pass, so we know we hit all of those tolerances. Verification tells you that, okay? It lets you know not only what the status is, but how close you are to passing. Are you just on the edge, or are you in great shape? When should you verify? Well, maybe every morning, maybe every shift, okay? Maybe before an important job. Okay, you can verify anytime you want during an important job. Maybe it's a very, very long run. You're printing, you know, hundreds, thousands of impressions. You may want to verify regularly throughout the job run to make sure that you're keeping consistency, that the first print looked great, but boy, by the time we got to that last one, yeah, it didn't look so good. Something went wrong. We should have recalibrated. halfway through this job. Verification will tell you that. Again, improving color accuracy with Fiery Verify covers all of this. Do we have the poll results? Actually, I think we already had the poll results, right?
Yeah, that was the poll before. Yeah, we already had that. Our next poll still coming up.
I apologize. I reordered these questions a little bit, so we will continue on with what happens if it does fail. Well, if verification fails, you have to take corrective action. First, check the job settings. Was the job printed correctly? Okay. You thought it was printed with one workflow. It actually went through a different workflow. Okay. Maybe you need to recalibrate. Okay. If it failed paper white, maybe it was the incorrect media, or maybe just the media was in the wrong tray. Okay. So somebody had the wrong media in the wrong tray, or the wrong tray was selected. We see that very, very commonly, a very common issue, that it's just a simple media issue that causes the job to fail. Something that can help greatly control all the color is to automate, okay? And to automate, we're going to be talking about something new that we have, IQ and specifically for color, ColorGuard. But last poll question, do you analyze verification results over time? Trending analysis, we call it. Yes, you do monitor this. No, but you think you should, or no, you don't monitor. Maybe you still do verification, but it's just verified, good, we're good, let's move on. And every time is just kind of a one-off. You verify and you really don't keep track of the results. So if you could answer that and hit submit. What I want to introduce to you, for those of you who have not seen it, is EFI IQ. It's our new set of cloud applications, and it's really intended to bring intelligence to your print production workflows, okay? It consists of a number of applications: IQ Dashboard, EFI Insight, EFI Go, EFI ColorGuard, which I'm going to be talking about in detail, and EFI Manage. Do we have the poll results, Joanna?
Can you give me 20 seconds? I'm closing the poll right now.
I can. Again, you're going to see a little bit on each of these, but ColorGuard is going to be our main emphasis today, since it is mainly the application that deals with color.
Okay, 4, 3. Okay, now it's out. So 25% do verify over time. 41% say no, but they think they should, and 30% no.
All right. Since many of you do or know you should, especially the majority answer was you don't, but you know you should, and that's where ColorGuard comes into play. Makes that much, much easier. With regular verification using Verify, you do trending analysis manually. You keep track of it manually, and then you check over time. ColorGuard really makes that very, very simple, and you'll see that in just a bit. EFI IQ allows you to make smart decisions. Again, one of the applications dashboard, it's free. It allows you to take a look at the production metrics from today, so you can make changes, make modifications, get more volume out the door. We've got EFI Insight, which is also free. This lets you capture the production data and analytics and make business decisions based on those. Kind of get, again, insight into your production facility. Fiery Go, which is also free, allows you to monitor the status of the printers and your jobs using a mobile device really anywhere in the world, so that you can make decisions and help improve shop floor productivity. EFI Manage, which is a paid application, allows you to sync the resources for the same print models and check compliance, monitor the devices. Again, keep everything running smoothly. EFI ColorGuard, also a paid application, streamlines color verification and calibration to help you produce accurate and consistent color. I'm going to cover ColorGuard for the rest of today's session. For more information on the IQ suite, there's a link. Again, you'll be able to download this presentation after we're finished. And there's a link to an IQ movie and a link to the IQ website, so you can get more information, or, hey, contact your EFI representative. So EFI ColorGuard is part of EFI IQ, and it has some key features. You're able to get a trial, a 30-day trial for free. So if you go up to colorguard.efi.com, you'll be able to see free exactly where the benefits are for you. You can get some hands-on experience with it, okay? And we've got a full course that will take you through how to run ColorGuard and take advantage of all of them. The key features are recalibration and verification scheduler. You set up a schedule. So when do you want recalibration to happen? When do you want verification to happen? Very, very important, notifications. A desktop application will pop up alerting your staff. Verification or calibration has to be done. Email notification can be sent out both for the fact that it has to be done or that the task was accomplished and whether it was successful or not. You can print out color compliance reports so you know how the devices are operating, and analytics. Again, trending analysis. How are the devices operating over time? ColorGuard allows you to monitor multiple printers, all from one web-based interface. You can set up verification schedules and recalibration schedules. When do you want them to happen? What day of the week? What time of the day? How often? Again, you get desktop notification and you get email notification that alerts you what's being done, has it been done, was it successful? Here's an example. You can see here the scheduled verification passed. The one behind, scheduled verification is due. Okay. You might also get one that it failed, and then you can immediately, hey, is someone taking corrective action? Stop producing jobs. We've got an issue. Very, very important. Trending and history. Okay. Determining, to help you determine how often you should recalibrate, how often you should verify. For the results, you can use industry standards or your own. And again, you can print out that report or label. You can get just kind of a quick pass-fail, or again, you can get the details. And notice here, we can see, well, our delta E tolerance is 3. We did 2, 8. We did 5. That's great. 3, 2. That's right. Oh, maximum CMYK RGB patches tolerance is 4, and we just hit that. This is an indication we should recalibrate. It passed, but it's right on the border. The next verification, if we drift a little more, no, it might drift better, but it might drift worse. Take corrective action beforehand. Recalibration is a very, very fast process. Let's actually take a look at the interface itself, kind of a live view. Now, here is the IQ dashboard. And in the IQ dashboard, we have access to Manage Insight, ColorGuard Notify. And if I click on ColorGuard, this is a demo session of what the ColorGuard interface looks like. As you can see here, I've got this large tile, one for each of the 3 printers. Okay. I can create a schedule for verification. I can create a schedule for calibration. This tile shows that none have been created yet. Maybe this is a new printer that was just added to ColorGuard. Here, a verification schedule has been created, but not a calibration schedule. In the last 7 days, 5 verifications have passed, 2 have failed. Same with the second printer. Now, to create schedules, very, very easy. I click Create Schedule, and this is for verification. So I'll call it Mornings. That is the printer that's automatically selected. I'll select a preset. I'll do, the 2-up landscape, and I'll say it's Fogra 51 validation, okay? After that, then I could click Next, and I could set up the rest of the schedule. Who's going to get notification? I'll switch over quick and do the same thing for calibration. And Monday calibration. Again, that printer, which calibration? Coated glossy. When? 7 o'clock in the morning, and this is calibration. I want to do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 o'clock. Maybe I set verification for 7:30 or 8 o'clock after I've calibrated every other morning. I want to verify. I can add a recipient. So I'm the recipient, and I can say I want to be notified when it's scheduled and when it was completed. For verification, you can also have notification for when it failed. Okay? I can add additional recipients and eventually just click done. And there's my calibration schedule. If I click on view all schedules, I can see here are all my schedules, when they're to be produced. I can edit them, I can duplicate them and make modifications. Maybe everything's the same but the second printer. Okay? Very, very easy to create new schedules. For verification presets, a number of them come standard. You can also create your own. I'm going to create my own verification preset. Call it Our Shop. The color reference, oh, maybe I'll select this Grackle 2006. Select the tolerance set. I'll select the validation print and the patch set. The ID Alliance control strip, since this is an ID Alliance specification, Grackle. Once that's set, oh, you know, that tolerance set. You know, I'm doing this for us, and it's our shop, and actually I want to make some changes here. So I'm going to do our tolerances, and the average of all, this is really kind of a lower grade media that I'm printing on, so I'm going to actually go up to 4 on that. And I know white can be an issue, so I could modify that. I could modify the individual colors. Maximum paper, you know, actually I want, because when it comes from different vendors, it comes with different levels each time. So I'll put a delta E of 5, maybe a little higher on that. And I do want to get a warning. That'll kind of alert me maybe when there's an issue with my paper white. Okay, so once those are all set, then you could select your delta E. I'll do delta E, maybe the new one. And then you click Save. And now it's your tolerance set that you're going to be using to verify against the Our Shop verification preset. Okay, so there's your shop verification preset. And then if you go back to schedule, you could create a schedule for verification and verification preset. There's your shop. Very, very easy to select. The history panel is where you track trends. This is trending analysis. Look at the bar chart. We can see how things are going. Click on any one and you can see just that particular printer. Any particular spot, you can see which printer, what the delta E value is. 2.11 was that. Here, 2.97. They're all listed here. You can filter them by date. You can filter them by which device. You can see a little pie chart to show things. Well, now here's a printer this passed, and if I click on that, I can actually take a look at the details. And here's the past. I can see everything and how well did we do. Look at that. Maximum all patches should be 8, and we hit 5. Really, really good. If I go back to history, now this one failed. Where did it fail? Well, it failed. Maximum all patches, that failed. This failed. Boy, wonder if this was the right media or not. But you know, there's something else I can do here. Maybe this was that media that we have a hard time hitting a particular specification. I can save this as a new reference. This is what I was able to achieve on this media. And by saving as a reference, I can say this is our new shop standard for this particular media for our printer. Now that's your new target moving forward that you can select for verification for that particular media. So if you've got a media, gosh, you know, I just can't hit it, here's a solution for you. And again, the dashboard, you can log in anywhere. You can see just at a glance exactly how your system is doing. Okay. So moving back, it's now time for you to establish your color goals. Take the next step. Develop your own color management implementation checklist. Some from last time, you know, set the lighting correctly, media selection and handling. Where do you store it? Select your specification that we talked about today. Performing custom calibrations and profiling. Implementing verification. Trending analysis. Try ColorGuard for 30 days. See the value of bringing this trending analysis and scheduling calibration and verification into your facility. Working with spot colors. Take a look at the spot color programs we have if you need to lock those down. And training. Training for yourself, training for your staff, training for your customers. Develop your own checklists, flowcharts, maybe something for printer maintenance. Configuring the Firey. Make sure the Firey is configured properly, especially if you have multiple Fireys. File creation. Checking the media, calibration and profiling, processing. How do you process jobs? What happens if something fails? Okay. We have additional resources. You'll see a recording of this webinar. You'll get a notification, PDF available of the slides, a checklist of the standard operating procedures. That same list we had available last month will be making available this month. Training materials. We have a lot of training materials, support and help resources. We have the online training at learning.efi.com. When you get the list here, the PDF, you'll see a list of the fundamental e-learning courses we have, the color accuracy courses that we have available, and what's coming soon. Basic cut sheet profiling, advanced profiling, a course on spot on, and additional document e-learning courses. In addition to the 101 course of the fundamentals of creating documents, we're going to have 3 additional courses: how to properly create documents using Microsoft applications, using Adobe applications, and using Corel applications. How to create them in those packages so they don't cause you problems on your Firey system. Sign up for a free account at learning.efi.com. It doesn't cost anything. The courses are all available at no cost, and then you'll receive notification when new courses are made available. We also have certification programs available if you want to bring it to the next level. Full information on the certification courses are available online. We have EFI communities. Go to communities.efi.com. Here's where you can ask questions of your peers, of the specialists, the experts at EFI. These are monitored, and you can get a response to your specific question. Maybe it's not covered. It's something a little out of the ordinary. It's not covered in the training materials we have. You can ask and get an answer. With all of that information we have available, I hope that you've learned today the benefits of verification, the value of verification, and that you take a look at ColorGuard and see the value of scheduling this and being able to do some of the other features and automation that ColorGuard brings to you. With that, back to you, Carrie.
Thank you, John. A lot of great information there. So while you get your breath, I'd just like to remind everybody that the session 1 recording is still available, plus the resources, and you will find a link in the PDF that we send to you with your follow-up email. In that email, you will also find a link to today's session, Techniques and Solutions, where again, you will find a PDF link to the recording and the resources. Okay, so Joanna, we have quite a few questions today.
Yes,
go ahead.
That's true. Okay, so let me just open here. So the first question, what is the delta variable on the naked eye?
The rule of thumb is 1 delta E is the delta E that a trained eye can see a difference between 2 colors. Now, it's a rule of thumb. It is not a guarantee. For instance, our eye is very, very sensitive to changes in a neutral. You see a very, very slight color difference or a density difference in neutral. That might be less than 1 delta E. Maybe that's down to 0.5, 0.4. But in a saturated color, maybe a saturated yellow, you might need delta E7 before you can actually see, visually see a color difference. It depends upon the viewer also. It depends upon lighting conditions. As far as the viewer experience, age, believe it or not, gender comes into play. The female eye can detect a color difference that is subtler than what a male eye can detect, although a male eye can detect a difference in density. So we each kind of have the area that we excel in. But rule of thumb, delta E1 is kind of where a lot of people, now you would never try to verify to delta E1 because device drift, you will always fail. That's why if you take a look at the specifications, they're all much larger than one. If you have a customer that says, I need delta E1 for color accuracy from you, give them the phone number of the competitor that you really dislike the most, because it's going to be very difficult to make that customer happy.
All right, thanks, John. I think there's a question to one of your slides. No license required for CPS. Please explain how.
If you download Color Profiler Suite, you can always use it for calibration. Those tools will always be unlocked in order to calibrate your Fiery system. You need to add a license if you want to do profiling. So if you just download Color Profiler Suite and install it, you'll see a number of the buttons are grayed out, but the calibrate button will never be grayed out. You can always calibrate using Color Profiler Suite in addition to using Command Workstation. You'll get the same results, but Color Profiler Suite gives you a few additional features, some additional measurement tools that you could use. So if you want to recalibrate and you have something other than a handheld device, you would want to use Color Profiler Suite for calibration.
Okay. Do I need to own one of the latest Fiery servers or be on the latest Fiery Command Workstation to use the tools you've spoken about today?
The answer to that is that depends. Some of the tools, Image Enhanced Visual Editor, ImageViewer, etc., might come standard depending upon your Fiery, or it's included in various packages that are available, some of the graphic arts packages. ColorGuard, from our testing, will work with pretty much any Fiery, any cut sheet Fiery that's out there. IQ, the same thing. It's pretty much been tested with the majority of the cut sheet Fiery servers. So it is some of the tools, it depends. You may need to purchase a package in order to use it, or some may come standard with.
Very good. And I have another question here. How expensive is EFI IQ? I think this one could go to Roland. Everyone, we have today here with us Roland Kempa, who is our product manager for EFI ColorGuard. Roland, could you help us with that?
Sure, yeah. Believe it or not, but EFI IQ is open and free to access to anyone with any Fiery. Creating an EFI account is free, and the applications EFI IQ Dashboard, EFI Insight, and EFI Notify, despite their big value for production, are completely free as well. Just the applications EFI ColorGuard that John talked about today and EFI Manage are annual term-based licenses, and those licenses can be purchased through either Fiery resellers or through the EFI store at eFi.com. And the MSRP is $495 per year per Fiery engine and per paid application. And there are discounts on multi-year license configurations available. But the key takeaway is that you can start with really powerful features at zero cost at any time. And creating an account is super easy. Just go to iq.efi.com, click register, and off you go.
Thank you, Roland. The next question, on average, how long would be the Fiery Verify process take?
Fiery Verify process start to finish, if you're using a handheld device, you're probably looking at under 5 minutes. An inline device, probably even faster. You launch the application, say you want to verify, click the button, and the control bar will print out. It prompts you to calibrate the device, you measure it, and immediately you get pass-fail. If you're using ColorGuard, you can schedule verification, and you can also institute a verify now. You know, like I said, you may want to do it before an important job. So you just click the button and say verify. And if you do that, it will automatically send the job to the Fiery, have it printed. You just measure it right in the interface and immediately know what's going on. So like I said, worst case, under 5 minutes.
And if you are the lucky owner of a printer with an inline measurement instrument, which we support in Fiery as well, it could be as quick as 30 seconds, really. So have a look at that too.
I'd consider that fast.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Next question. Is there a way to easily set the target density values for CMYK when starting the calibration process? It seems like during G7 validation, CMYK solids fail the delta CH check.
Well, the initial densities are based on the densities for that are really built in for the specific printer by the manufacturer. Isn't that correct, Roland?
Correct. Yeah, and I tried to answer that question already. Basically, there is no targeted density that you should go for. What you should do is go for the largest possible density, keep the channels as open as possible, and go for the maximum printer gamut. The way I understood the question is that the aim was to do a validation print against a gray color space, and you really want the biggest possible. And during the verification process, the the color management and the gamut mapping of the ICC profile will then just take care about it. So the only thing you can do wrong is that if you go for an artificially low density, then you might restrict your gamut so that it's smaller than the one of a gray color. But you don't need to hit a specific density to be successful.
And by the way, in the just released calibration course, I did cover G7 calibration, which had not been covered in the calibration course prior to this release. So you may want to go take a look at the new calibration course and take a look at the G7 module.
Okay, so we reached our hour. I'll take two more questions before we end, and then we will get the other questions we have here, because we still have quite a few to answer, and we'll put in a document and send it to you all per email together with today's recording and also presentation. So we have everything in one place in the next few days. Okay, so all right, so one more question here. Is Fiery Preflight application available on as a standalone application?
Fiery Preflight, Fiery Post-Flight, a lot of these tools are part of one of the graphic arts packages. The GAPPE graphic arts package, ColorGuard, or oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the third.
A Fiery productivity package.
Thank you, Veronica. And yes, some of these, correct me if I'm wrong, some of these do come standard with certain Fiery servers?
Yes. Well, some Fiery servers come with Preflight standard, but the majority of them is an option with Fiery graphic arts packages. In embedded servers, Preflight hasn't been available. I'm sorry, it's not with Fiery productivity package Preflight, but now the new Fiery servers with FS400 software, they do have Preflight with the Fiery automation package.
Thank you.
All right, so last question. If you make changes to a document in the Fiery editing tools, can you then export or save the resulting PDF back to a server or to use for future prints? Will it be able to open or edit the resulting print PDF with Acrobat and other software?
If you are using Fiery ImageViewer, you can export a PDF soft proof, and that PDF soft proof will contain the changes you've made. You can open that up in Acrobat and take a look at it in Acrobat. For Image Enhanced Visual Editor, I believe there's also a way to export a PDF file out of there, isn't it, Veronica?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Can you export a PDF file out of Image Enhanced Visual Editor?
I don't think so. PDF files, when you edit in prepress or make ready solutions with Fiery, you can edit PDFs with the impose, compose, and job master, and you can export that PDF to print in other places, but not in IEVE, in Image Enhanced Visual Editor.
Okay, so ImageViewer only, where you can export a soft proof PDF file.
In ImageViewer, it's a soft proof, but it's not to print in another device.
Right.
It's for that specific device because it's post-read.
Yeah, it's basically a rasterized 150 and 300 DPI proof. So nothing prevents you from printing it on some other device, but it's not like printing the original PDF file.
Correct.
All right, so that's it. So as I mentioned, we will collect the other questions that we haven't answered here live, and we will put them in a document and send you all per email together with today's recording and presentation. So stay tuned to that email in a few days. And I would like to thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed our session in our series. If you haven't seen our previous session, go to EFI.com at the World of Fiery webinar session, and you can watch the recording there. But we also include that link to you in the email coming in the next few days. Thanks, John, for this great presentation. Thanks, everybody, to participating today, and I hope you see you next time.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody, for showing up today, and stay safe and make sure you get your color accurate.